Action. Okay, today we're going to talk about area and perimeter. As we look at this, we're going to look at the definition of area. That is the number of square units that's inside in the interior of a figure. So it's easy to talk about a square or a rectangle. If this square or rectangle here, we broke this up in units. Those square units inside of that rectangle would tell us what our area is. So off of this, I could count up every one of these squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 units squared. So that would be my area for that. Okay, and then obviously, we could use units, could be inches, could be centimeters, whatever measurement that we're using. Okay. The difference between area and perimeter is that the perimeter is just the distance around the object. So if we use the same shape, and to save myself the time and having to draw the lines here, it was 5 across, it was 5 on this edge here, 5 here, and 5 here. What is the perimeter you go through there? Y'all can answer that.
25.
No. 5, 10, 15, 20. 20. Okay, so the 20 units, now notice that this isn't units squared. This is just units. Okay, so we could do this. This is actually a long way of solving this out. Okay, hopefully as we go through these, you're going to see some formulas that kind of jot your memory there and helps you remember how to do all this. So when we talk about area of a rectangle, we're going to use the formula that is length times width. Okay, you could also use the formula that area equals base times height. Because in a rectangle, the base is the length and the width is the height. Okay, so you could use both of those. We tend to use length and width because with perimeter, we talk about instead of adding all 4 sides together, we tend to say that it's 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, which means that we're just doubling this since it's 5 plus 5, and we're doubling this, the width here, since it's 5 plus 5. Same results. Okay, on example 1, we have a rectangle, and what they want to know is they want to know the length. So as we go through this, what is the length here? Y'all can answer that. What's the length? Okay, the length here is going to be that 5 square root of 2. Okay, which the width would be 4 square root of 2. Okay, if we're going to use the formula, area equals length times width, I'm going to take the length, 5 square root of 2, and multiply it times 4 square root of 2. Okay, now multiplying square roots. Take the 5, multiply the 4, what is that? So we get 20. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4. Okay, you can do the square root of 4, that's going to be 2. 20 times 2, and 20 times 2 is 40. So as we find the area, it actually takes care of the square roots for us. And we have a whole number, no radical on there. Perimeter. If I'm going to do the perimeter, it's 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So that's going to be 2 times 5 square root of 2 plus 2 times 4 square root of 2. Okay, just going through the steps that we need to do here. 2 times 5 is what? So 10 square root of 2. 2 times 4 is 8 square root of 2. And now as we look at this, you got to treat this as these are like terms. They both have a square root of 2 in them. They're like terms, just like if it would be 10x plus 8x. You add the two together. So 10x plus 8x would be 18x So when we go back up to here, 10 square root of 2 plus 8 square root of 2 is 18 square root of 2. Treat it like it's adding like terms, combining like terms. Okay, on the next one, we have a rectangle, and we can know that if we know the length and the width, we can find the area and the perimeter pretty easily just using formulas. But the issue here is we don't have a length and we don't have a width. So we have to reflect back to the tools that we do have. And this is a big clue right here that we're going to use a 30, 60, 90 triangle to solve this. So we're going to go back. Remember how we solved these. You label. Opposite of the 30 is x, opposite of the 90 is 2x, and opposite of the 60 is x square root of 3. We need to find the length and the width using the 30, 60, 90 here. Okay, stay with it and solve it. The step after labeling, after you label your 30, 60, 90 triangle, is to solve for x. So right here, the 2x and the 4 are together. They're equal. So 2x equals 4. Solve for x. What do you got to do? Divide by 2. X equals 2. So we got that. So that tells us right here that the width is 2. The length, we go plug that 2 in, and we have 2 square root of 3. So the length is 2 square root of 3. Now that we know the length and the width, we can just go back to our formulas and use our formulas. So area equals length times width. So that's going to be 2 square root of 3 times 2. Okay. And now, because we're multiplying here, we're not going to multiply that square root of 3. We can just do 2 times 2 and 4 square root of 3. And we'll keep it as 4 square root of 3. That's our area. Our perimeter is going to be 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Plug in what we know. The length is 2 square root of 3 plus 2. The width is 2. So now as we multiply this out, we're still going to do 2 times 2 here with this term, 4 square root of 3. And the second term is going to be plus 2 times 2, which is 4. Now we want to add these together, okay? But are these like terms? This one has a square root of 3. This one has nothing. Are these like terms? This would be the same as saying 4x plus 4. Do we add those together? No. So our answer is going to stay as a mixed number, 4 square root of 4. We'll leave our answer just like that. Okay, this is an exact answer. If we take the square root of 3, we get that long repeating decimal that we want to avoid. We want these to be exact. Okay, so now when we go do an area of a square, perimeter of a square, we got to remember that the length and the width are exactly the same. So it's still area is still length times width, or base times height. It still is. The only thing different is that the length and the width are exactly the same. So we take on this side squared, where we take the side length and we just square it. Okay. Also with the perimeter, we could still add all 4 sides together. Okay. We could still go 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. But because the side lengths are all the same, we can just say 4 times one side and we get our perimeter. So we'll use that here. The length is x minus 2. Because it's a square and these tick marks tell us so, the width is also x minus 2. I'm going to work out of order. I'm going to do the perimeter first. So as we look at the perimeter, it's 4 times the side length. So it's 4 times x minus 2. What operation do I have to do with the 4? I got to distribute when I multiply that. 4x minus 2. And then there's nothing else to solve, no other way to simplify this down, so that would be my perimeter is 4x minus 2. Okay. Now the area, the reason why I did the area last is because I want to kind of go in a little more depth on this. because it is side squared, and we have this binomial here, x minus 2 squared. Yes? Oh, you're right. I got to go back here. 4 times negative 2 is 8. Thank you, Spencer. You get a shout out on YouTube. Well, you weren't brave enough to say it in class. All right, so now that we, going back to the side here, you got x minus 2 squared, which is x minus 2 times x minus 2. Anytime you square a number, it's that number times itself. What's a method for multiplying these terms like this?
FOIL.
Yeah.
Yes,
JoJo, shout out YouTube. All right, it's FOIL method. You take the first, you multiply times the first. So that's x times x is x squared. You take the outers, x times negative 2. I couldn't silence that phone, could I? Pause. All right, so we did outer, and that's why we got negative 2x. Now, inner, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And then last, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. What's the last step that I need to do with the FOIL process? Here's your hint right there. Combine your like terms. X squared, negative 2x, adding those together, combining them, negative 4x plus 4. That is the area that we will be using.